Hello friends, this is Ganesh and video number 23 on CDS view. This is a continuation of the previous video like CDS view annotations, and in this session I'm going to have annotation of analytics, and this is coming under the second classification or the other component annotation. So we have two, ABAP and other component annotation, and most of the annotations are going to evaluate it from the component level. And for a testing purpose, I'm going to use a transaction called RSRT, and that is going to be an analytical tool. And I will show you how the annotations which I'm going to use in CDS view is reflect in the particular tool. Okay, and other two new things also I'm going to introduce in this session about annotations. So let's get into the slide first. So here for analytics, the basic annotation for CDS view as analytics query is true, because RSRT is a transaction, considering it's a tool. Not all the CDS view is going to be enabled or it's going to be available for RSRT. So few annotation to be added in a CDS view, that is then only that particular view is going to be enabled in your RSRT transaction. So one of the annotation is analytics.query true. So that is a very basic annotations. And the other prerequisite is the particular CDS view source, it should not refer any database table directly. Okay, so that needs to be refer any of your CDS only. So right, define view CDS entity name, select from. So the select from Mara or any of your standard direct table, if you add, then this particular annotations will give an error. You should not add any database table for this analytical query. So that needs to be the source to be a CDS view only. So recollect the previous concept which we have learned called VDM type and data category. So dimension, basic, cube, composite, and consumption. So those are going to be used over here because we need a CDS view as a source. So in the final view is going to be get the data from the previous CDS views, and that could be a cube category or a dimension category. It depends on the business need, we have to design it. Okay, so and my idea is, if you're going to work especially for analytical tool in a CDS view, you will get a very good option to use more annotations in your CDS view. Okay, especially for the analytical tool. So these are the prerequisites. Your CDS view source should not be a table. It should be a CDS view, and you have to use annotation called analytical query as true. And this is for your reference. Once you activate along your CDS view along with this annotation, it will create in a backend. It will create entry in a table called RSRT then once the entry is available added in the table, then only your view is supposed to be displayed or available for RSRT transaction. Okay, so this is just for a reference. Sometimes you might miss some annotations or some problem might happen. The RSRT transaction is not able to recognize your view. Then go to the table and find out whether your view CDS view is added in the particular table or not. If your CDS view is not in this table, then RSRT is not able to perform any tooling report of your CDS view. So that is just for your reference. Okay, and then so here this is the model which I'm going to use, or you can just use whatever design you want. I'm going to have a basic CDS view with a cube category, and probably I'm going to use a dimension as well. So dimension is basically for having a master data, and the cube is going to have a transaction along with the master data. And on top of the CDS view, I'm going to create my final view. Always the final view is the consumption view, and the consumption view I'm going to use the annotation analytics query true. Okay, and once I activate this CDS view, this is going to be added in the particular table, and it's able to available for RSRT transactions. And here How there is a naming convention for your CDS view. It's like RS in RSRT transaction. The naming convention is 2C along with your SQL view name. It's a SQL view name. The first line of your CDS view with the above annotations like above catalog dot SQL view name. So that is the name you have to use to find your CDS view, not the entity name. Okay, entity name is nothing but define view, the name which we are giving, right? That is nothing but CDS entity name, but here we need a SQL name only. So the combination is 2C and your SQL name, and the same way you have to find out in the table also if it is required. So this is the hierarchy. So I'm going to have one dimension and cube and then consumption, and finally it will reach my RSRT. I'm going to explain this part first. Then I'm going to add a few more annotations in my CDS view. Then I will show you how it reflects in RSRT transaction. Okay. The next one is other framework specific annotation. I showed you in the last video as well. This is, we have two classifications, ABAP and other framework, and whatever I'm going to use today are other framework annotations. I'm going to use these three in my today's example, and this is going to be evaluated in the particular component only. And a small information, once you have annotation used like analytical details, don't expect the same way it is working for your ABAP program. The same CDS view you call an ABAP program and display an ALV and expecting this annotations also work for your normal ABAP program, it's not, because this is not going to evaluate by ABAP framework. This is for the component level framework. If you want same thing to be utilized or needed in your ABAP, you have to find other way of CDS or other way of ABAP annotations, the same thing to be reflected in your ABAP output. Okay, so always be clear about the annotations, whether it's an ABAP annotations or other framework or other component annotations. Okay, and yeah, these are new things which we are going to learn about annotation. Annotations has a dependency. Okay, for example, I have an annotation called analytics details.query.formula, meaning you can define a formula in a CDS view. Okay, define a formula. It's not going to be a text, it's a formula like field 1, field 2 into some constant value, some different combinations. You can use it in a formula for a particular field. For example, gross weight, gross value, discounted price, tax calculation. So those things you are able to define a formula in a CDS view, and this through an annotation, and this is going to be compiled or read or executed in a component engine level. Okay. Excuse me. So this annotation has a dependency. So if you use this annotation, you will get an error because it needs analytics query true. So in a header level, if you use this query true, then only in the column level you are able to use this annotation. If not, if suppose your CDS view doesn't have this in the header level, then you will get a syntax error saying that this needs analytical query true annotations. So annotations has dependency also. I will show you the same in the system as well as the error. Okay. And annotation works depends on other properties as well, meaning sometimes we have to determine the place where the exact annotation works. Simple example is I have a cube and I have a consumption view, both different views I have. Okay, and I'm going to use start from here, default aggregation sum in the consumption view. Okay, and I have analytical query is true, but it's not reflect in my RSRT transaction. Okay, I feel the consumption view is the final view. Maybe you can have annotations for a text or cosmetics or something else, and especially this default aggregation is not work when the consumption comes into place. So if I use the same aggregation of sum for the cube, yes, it works. Even though I have a dimension field, I'm having the sum for the dimension CDS view in the particular cube CDS, yet it works. Okay, so this is just for your reference. Sometimes you may have an annotation, you are expecting some results, you are going to see the result exactly in the component level, for example UI level or your RSRT analytical tool level, but it's not happening, means this also may be a reason. So you need to figure out in which place I have to use the annotation, then it works as expected. Okay, so this is just for your friend. This way also annotations is working currently. And yeah, that's it. So this is about the analytical annotations. So I will show you same thing in the system as well. Now, excuse me. So here, this is a system. I have created two views just because it's very simple. I don't want to take your time. I have created one dimension and one cube view. I will show you how to, I'll show you the CDS view, consumption CDS view creating. So dimension is very simple. I use it for the master data, Mara and material text I used. And these are the fields I'm using here: material, text, name, net weight, and some var condition. Okay. And on top of dimension, I used a cube. I used for sales related information from VBAK, and this is the data category I used as a cube. And here in a join with VBAP, and this is the dimension view which I showed you, this one. So from there I'm getting some other details. So this is my cube. On top of this, I'm going to create a consumption view along with the analytical query true. Okay, then we'll see how it's reflected in RSRT transaction. So let's create new data definition, CGI consumption 3, consumption view, next, and finish. Okay, so this is going to be this is the one I'm talking about. Select star from Mara. You are not, means direct table you're not able to use, because this is going to be the final one. I'm going to use annotation analytical query as true. So here I'm going to use my previous CDS view. Okay, and it doesn't have much queries or not, just a final view. I always mention this, that keep the consumption views very simple and have some very basic annotations only. Okay, and these are the fields I'm going to display in RSRT. So few annotation, header level annotation to be enabled. VDM view type as consumption. Okay, so okay, this is also pending. Here it's CJI CONS3. Okay, excuse me. Now I'm not going to activate, I'm not going to add the analytical query true annotations. Let's see how it's reflect in RSRT and the table. Then I will come and add it, that particular annotations over here. I'm activating my CDS view. Yeah, it's activated. Yep. Then let me go to RSRT transaction. Okay, slash RSRT for the same server, which server we used in the HANA Studio or Eclipse, the same one we have to use here as well, the RSRT transactions. And the combination, what I mentioned is 2C ZJI consumption 3, right? So that is your SQL view name. I'm talking about this. So 2C plus this one. So this is the name of the query in RSRT transaction. Press enter. And it shows query could not be opened. Genuine ID is invalid. Now go to the table, because the annotations has not been added. And the table is this one. And there is a field called comp ID. And enter the name, the same name, CGI, probably this one with the 3. Okay, and execute. No, so no table entries found. I will show you if anything with 2C Z star. Yes, there are a few entries, this one actually. So this is actually SQL name start with 2C, and there are some entries, and all these view, CDS view has the line annotation analytical query true. That is the reason it's added in the database table. Now let me go back to my view and add the header level annotation analytics dot query true. Okay, let me activate it. Done. So let's go to the table and let's see whether it has been added over here or not. 3, execute. Yes, it's added. Okay, so now RSRT is able to get the query, get the CDS in the query format in that particular transaction. Go to RSRT and here just enter. So it shows, it just has the query and it also take the source of it. So this is the source of it, and F8. Yeah, sometimes it shows the same error, query could not be opened. Better just go out of the transaction and open it again. The same join consumption 3 and F8. So now it's opening. So this is the way to enable your CDS for this RSRT transactions. Okay. Now this is a transaction, just play around with the transaction. It's a kind of a report, and you can say, okay, I want to show you this is like I want the sales or okay, is item. Okay, I selected item. Okay, first document, and the values are here, and you have some conditions and filters and everything. Just play around it. Okay. So now my idea is, okay, the component level or the end user level, they are expecting every time we are going to open your CDS view, the report, the data with the sales document and item as a default in the row level. Okay, so these are the default ones. So why can't you send the data in this format? So that's what I'm saying. CDS is just provide only the data. So on top of it, depends on the component request, we can add it or we can achieve it through annotations. So now the requirement is by default, I want to add these two columns as to be added in the row level. Okay. So yes, we have annotations for analytical in the analytical level. So let's go to the view. Okay. So these two to be added in the row level, right? So what I'm going to do is analytics details is the annotation, and the property is uh, query access. Yeah, this is the one, and value is rows. Okay, so just copy this because I want the same to be added for the item as well. Excuse me. Okay, add to it, and don't expect anything to be modified in the output. So if you see double F8, I'm saying here, you not find anything. Okay, it just give a data of your CDS view. You won't work for annotations at least in this data level, in the CDS data level. So now go to RSRT, and this refresh is not going to work for the structural level change. So better go out of the screen, again execute F8. So now by default, you will get sales document and sales document item. Okay. And one more additional they might come with, can you just do the sorting descending of sales order item? So I want the latest item to be come as a first by default. So it's very simple. We need to go with the sorting order only. We have an annotation for that also. So go to your uh, view, and the same field can have more than one annotations. So analytics design, sorry, details dot query dot what is the name of the annotation is, it start with sorting kind of, it's going to be somehow I missed, 1 second, query sort or something. Yeah, sort direction, and I want in the descending order. Okay, add toward it. Go back, go out of this, and again execute. So now expectation is the item to be sorted in the descending order. Yes, it did. Okay, so this is the way how the component annotations are working. Okay, depends on the business requirement. We have to try to make use of the annotations. Okay, and so this is done. I'm going to do the aggregation part. Okay, so as I mentioned, aggregation needs to be done in the cube level. If not, I'll show you what happens. Let me take out this for the time being. So because I don't have much data, so I can't give the aggregation for the sales level. I can show the aggregation for the material level. So now I want to be the price to be aggregated, right? So I'm saying default aggregation is sum. Execute. No syntax error, it accept as it is, and go to your RSRT, go back, execute. By default, now it's back to the previous one because I removed all the annotation which shows the default in the row level. So now if I go to the material, so this is the one, just click. So now it's not actually aggregating that. I'm doing the aggregation for net price, right? It's giving zeros and UR only. It's not doing any aggregation for this because it has a values. So now what I had to do was the same aggregation needs to be done in my cube view. I had to vote it. Okay, let's go to the cube and I have a net price here. I have to vote it. Yep, done. Go to RSRT. Yeah, it's not working. Just for confirmation. So just F8 and I don't have any default. Let me do it again. Material. So now you're able to see the default aggregation is working. Annotation is working. Depends on the business need. Okay. So this is one of the way we have to identify the annotation to be worked in which kind of type or depends on the other properties as well. The another one is I have a formula, right? Let me do a formula here. Analytics design dot query control spacebar query dot formula. So here. So here I don't have any related value for this net price. So I'm using the same field name here. Net price minus some discounted price, hard coded value like 100. Okay, so you can have n number of formulas over here. Okay, so again I'm saying this is not going to be reflected in your CDS view because this is depends on the component. So activate it. Well, after activate, it actually gives an error. So the error says clearly this annotation, analytical details query formula needs is only supported with annotation, another annotation, analytics.query.true. So this is a dependency I'm saying. So few annotations or need some dependencies. So what I can do is you have to take it out and activate the cube first. Then go to the consumption view because this view has the particular annotations over here. So now you try to activate. Yes, it's activated. But here I think it's not reflect in RSRT. The idea is it's actually reflecting an additional field of this net price. But here if I say go to sales document, it's not reflecting here. Probably it might reflect in the OData or UI level, expecting some additional column and it shows what is the formula for the particular one. Okay, it's not reflecting anything here. Actually, as usual, 120 means is 120 only. It's reflecting here. So for example, you can see number third row is 120. So if I take this also, it shows the same value. Okay, activated it. Go back and execute. It's not relevant for RSRT. So that is very simple. That is the way we have to take it out. Sales document, entry, the same value. Okay. So this is the way the annotations are working. So just play around with more analytical annotations, and that is going to be reflected in your RSRT transaction. Hopefully you will have a authorization for RSRT. So just play around with your system. And it won't harm because this is kind of a report only, so play around with the other options as well. Okay, so this is the another understanding of how the analytical annotations like other component annotations are working. So again, I'm saying annotations are playing a major role in CDS. So CDS is not only the place where it delivers data, it delivers along with the data, it delivers mostly whatever is required from the component level. And we have few components, we annotations start with UI, we are able to determine the positions of the field, lot more we can do from the CDS level. Okay, so once you're comfortable with it, please open any of the standard CDS view and just go through the annotations, how it's doing, how it's reflecting. So you need some other component also. It's not all the annotations are in ABAP, you're not able to find the output in your ABAP report. So you need to go to like RSRT, and you need to go to the access control and authorization level. So if you have if you find you have an option to map the same CDS through OData in any of the UI, that is well and good. Just play around with that as well. Okay, that's it from this video, and thank you so much for your time. If you have any doubt, please let me know. We'll see you in the next video. Bye.